Hello again, it's Peter from Record Power. On this little video I'm going to take you through a few little maintenance tips on our SABRE-250 here, which will also include having a look at how to change the drive belt. The drive belt should last you a long time if it's used correctly with an extractor. It's a Pulley V belt, this unit, so you get good positive drive in there. But what you want to avoid is chippings and stuff going there, so you need to use an extractor with the machine as well, because the belt is located down below and where the motor drive is, so you're going to get most of your waste around there, so keep that in good clean order. And a few other little tips as we go around the machine to try and get the best out of the machine and how to look after it in a good way. So first of all, I'm going to take the Circlips off the top pulley, which I've already done, and the bottom one. Now we've got interlocks on the doors, and what you want to do when you're working on machinery, to make it safe, just unplug it. This one's an easy one, so it just unplugs, or you can switch it off at the mains. If you unplug it, at least you haven't got the lead dragging around as we're moving it around. So I want to take off the circuit from the top, which I've already done, and now I want to do the bottom one. You need some little straight circuit pliers. You can prise it off, but if you prise it off, sometimes you can distort the actual circlip itself. So try and get a little pair of circuit pliers, something like that. I'd advise a little combination kit, so as you can get the straights and the hooked ones as well. And you just change the heads over. Those are quite a nice little, ideal for like the DIY home user sort of thing. So you can do quite a few functions in there. So it's a little bit tucked away inside. If I take the rail off, and I want that table lock out of the way as well. Washer, and I'll just put all my bits and pieces in a little tub. So before I take the actual belt off, and the bandsaw blade, I just want to get this little circlip off. And it's one of those, again, you can do it in one or two operations, or it's no, fiddle. So that's come off a little bit at the back. So what I can do with that is just pop it forward. It's a bit chunky, this screwdriver. I could do a smaller one. If you're not being prepared. Just be gentle with this and it will pop off. So put that in the tub as well. So what I want to do now is I can take the bandsaw blade off. So initially, if I take that up to about halfway, just put that in there. This little unit, we've got our detensioner here, so I can drop the tension off on there. Just bring the blade out. In fact, it'll take a little bit more off there. Then it's just a case of working it out. And I find if you bring this down, say, to about the mid position, it just makes it a little bit easier to work out. This is the biggest blade that the machine takes, so this is the 1/2 inch 12mm one. So I'll just hang that up. The smaller blade is going to be a little bit easier to get in and out. So on the top band wheel, we're just inside of the lip here, so we need to lift that up a little bit just to get it off. We bring the band wheel forward, take this further down, just to allow us access off there, and that'll come out. So if you're unsure of the position of it, just mark the face, because the back's they're very similar, but there is a slight difference in the design on the back of the band wheel. So if you're not sure, just mark it. You can see this is a little bit more proud at the front than it is at the back, the boss there. So it's bigger here than it is on the back of there. So on the bottom one, I need to turn this around. And why I've got it spun around, I can take these off as well. That just slides out. So bring this round to the back. We've got two cap screws fitted in here. One at the top and one at the bottom, and I want to slacken those off. So 6mm key, and do that one. Don't need to take it out, just slacken it off, and slacken this one off. Lift it up and just pinch it off for the time being. What we've got here, you've got a dust extraction port here. Now this will take a couple of fittings. You can either use your CAMVAC machine and the tooling hose, and that will go directly in, so that's an ideal one. Or if you've got a larger machine with 4-inch capacity, then you need a stepped adapter, so the 100 to 57, and that will go in there, and then you can put your 4-inch hose over, so they can push that on there. Or you can either have it with the easy cuff, or just put it on directly to the hose and use a Jubilee clip on there. So a couple of options on there, but it is most important that you use an extractor with your bandsaw, because of the amount of mess you're going to actually make when you're doing your processes. So we'll have that background again. Now the top one, basically we've taken the top one off because you've got your mechanism in here for your tensioning. You've got a little bearing in the top, and you've got a spring in there, and you've got your plate in there which you do your adjusting with. So all this is moving around up in here. So it swivels on there and it moves around when you do your tensioning. What you occasionally want to do with that is give that a hoover out, get your brush in there and give it a little bit of a clean. And then when you're finishing, you're nearing your finish of a little bit of maintenance on the machine, use a bit of dry silicone spray. Don't use anything with an oil base in it, because then the dust is going to adhere to it more. Give that a good shake up, and a nice little spray in there, not over the top, not a lot, just a little bit onto your joints and your linkages up here and inside. Then shut the door, and if possible, just leave it for 5-10 minutes just to let it settle. But do that with the band wheel off. And the only reason I say that is because you've got a neoprene tyre over the your band wheel, and what you don't want is just to build up a silicone and stuff on there. So just keep this nice and clean, and occasionally give this just a little rub up with a scratch pad, one of these, not a rough one, not anything like sandpaper or anything like that, just one of these little ones, and you'll keep this clean and you'll stop the adherement, all the bits of dust on there, and resins that'll build up on there, and just keep the tyre in a good working condition. And you can do that on the machine as well, just as easy. So if you have it on, what you can do is just put it in the side and just spin the wheel. Just when you're doing a blade as well, when you're putting a new blade on, just keep it clean. And that's the same down below as well. Just give that clean there, and then just keep those tyres nice and clean. And you just get the bits of dust and muck off there. So I'll spray that before I finish. I'll just give that a little spray. On your rise and fall, you've got your friction lock on the back. Then the larger part actually rises your tool arm up and down to locate it for the position you're going to cut in. And ideally you want sort of no more than a gap of say 15-20 mil over the top of your timber. There's no need to have a big expansion of blade showing. So when you've got your position correct, just pinch it off. But bearing that in mind, so this is a little rack and pinion in here. So when you're cleaning this out, you can put a little bit of silicone spray down into there, but also use your hoover when you're giving the machine a clean out. Get your hoover in there, because again you will have dust working its way around. It'll get in everywhere. So again, nothing with an oil base. Something with say the dry silicone spray is ideal. So right onto the bottom. So the same process. We're just going to pull this band wheel forward now, and this one you can't really get wrong at all because you've got your two steps of your drive for high and low speeds. Again, that's nice and clean. If you take it off, give it a clean inside of the back recess as well. Just give that a little hoover out and get the dust out of there. This is a new machine, so the drive belt, say, is going to be in good condition. If you have got a little bit of dust and build up in there, this is still nice and flexible and it's good. There's no rips on there. Just give this a little clean out in there. This again with a little tough brush or something like that comes in useful. Don't need to put anything else onto that. When you've got your if you're doing a belt change as well, you've got two little grub screws in the back of here. So just check those when you've got the machine in this sort of condition. Just pinch those up. Should be alright. But the machine's stopping and starting all the time, so you've got that little rocking movement in there, so occasionally you might get one of those come loose. You've got two on there anyway, so it's highly unlikely, but just check it anyway, it doesn't hurt. It's a good procedure when you're doing it. So I can put a little dry belt back on now, just give that a wipe out. That's all nice and clean. Then look at putting my bottom band wheel back on again. Again, it's worth just checking it over before you actually put it back on. Make sure there's no bits got inside those little grooves. Give it a little wipe out. And keep the machine in good working order, nice and clean. It's going to last you even longer. So put that one on first. Just gently just slide it back on again. Now this is all just preset positions, so I've got no worries about it being put back in the wrong sort of way. So I'm all going to say a preset position on there. Before you put any tension on there, just check that you're in the right groove before you drop it down again. And just pop the little circlip back on again. These are probably easy to put back on and take off, he says. There you go. Straight on. So coming back around to the back, all I've got to do is just release that one screw at the moment. Put a bit of weight onto the actual belt. Don't lock it up yet. So what I want to do, I'll put some weight on there, just a little bit. You can judge it from here as well. So you can just get a little bit of flex by just putting a little bit of pressure on the motor. And what I don't want that really taut. I want a little bit of movement in there. I don't say not excessive, but I just want to feel a bit of pressure on there. But I can also flex it, and then I can lock this one up. So that's my top one being locked up now. I'm in the right position on the belt. I can spin it really easily. Everything's okay on there. So again, that's locked up. So I can just lock up the other one. Just check it. Everything's okay. If you want to, while it's like that as well, what you can do is shut the doors. Just plug your machine back in again. And just give it a quick run. And everything's okay. So that's that looked after. It's also good to check around your machine just to see everything's nice and clean in there. You haven't got anything stray in there, any bits of wood or anything else in the corners. But let's say this is a newish machine anyway, so it's only had a few runs on there. But keep everything nice and clean on the machine. So coming back up to the top, if I drop the tool arm down, and this is quite open anyway, so I've got the cam lever here. If I move the cam lever part way, I can lift it up and down. But what I am also doing is I'm taking the load off this little bearing here, and I've got the cam parts exposed. So what I'm going to do now is just give that a little spray, and then leave it for a few moments and we'll come back to it. So we'll do that and do a little cut, and then we'll come back and do the assembly of the top band wheel. So it doesn't need a lot. Just leave that for a bit. So right, we come back on now. I've left it for a few minutes. Let the spray disperse, and I can look at putting my band wheel back on again. So the larger boss to the front, larger as being slightly deeper, and the shorter part to the back. Put that up to camera so it makes a little bit more sense. So I've got a short boss at the back and the deeper boss at the front. If you can see that. So that's how that goes back on. Again, I'll move this down. Just lift that up a little bit and guide that back in. Let's see how we get on with the circlip. Just push that one in, just the final part, so it's all sitting in that little groove in there. again, I've got quite the largest blade to put back onto here. So again, I'll move it up to about the middle position. Check the direction of my teeth. They're pointing downwards. And then I'll give this a little wipe again. You should always when you're putting a blade on, just give it a little wipe. Get that bit of, if it's brand new blade, like I said before, you'll have a bit of the manufacturing process, a bit of lubricant and whatever you're on there. And I just don't want to put that onto my band wheels. And also check the weld position, where it's been butt welded together. See, that's nice and clean there. And this one's okay. Then to feed it back in, and this is where you just need a little bit of patience to get through all these little fiddly areas. Take your tension off so there's a bit of the wheels down, because we got the quick release on the SABRE-250, and then feeding it through this little guard at the bottom here. Which is a little bit easier to feed in than it is to take off. So if I was doing this from a new blade, what I do with my guides is, before I started doing tracking and what have you, I just release these just so as they didn't catch on anything else. If it's a like for like blade, as like we said before, then that's okay. You're going to put it back in and it's just basically a tracking it. If it's a new blade, move those out of the way first so you can put your band wheel, your new blade onto your band wheels, and you can start setting her up. So I would take a little bit of tension off that and then try the actual lever. So it's not bad, it's not hard to push across, so I can push that over, then look to do my tracking. So I want a bit more pressure. I want to take I've got a little bit of gap at the front and just a slight bit of overrun at the back, so I want to bring it forward just a little bit, so it just wants to go outwards a little bit, this little lever. So take the lock off and just wind that out a little bit, and then just spin it to bring it back into the centre a little bit. But I also want a little bit more tension on here, so I take that off, a little bit tensional, just try the flex on there. It's not too bad. I think it's probably a little bit too much. And say with the sabres as well, we can see through our windows as well, see where the actual blade is sitting. That's not too bad at all. And I've got a nice bit of pressure on there, but not excessive pressure. I've got some flex in there. At the end of the day, it's a band, as we said before, but I can't touch the body really easy. On these sort of machines, the smaller machines, we don't put the indicators on because the blades are a lot smaller blades and thinner section as well. So that's okay. So what I can do now, shut my doors. Machine again. So we've done a little bit of maintenance on our two band wheels and the tracking box, a little bit of maintenance in there in the rack. So keep the machine in good order, and it's going to reward you with a long service life. So a few little tips, hope that's of use to you. and we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers for now. Bye.